Browns general manager Andrew Berry doesn't regularly speak to the media or say much when he does, but Berry has made it routine to address the state of the organization each year during the team's bye week. Berry spoke Wednesday, 2 days after the Browns' dominating 32-13 win over the Bengals and 1 day after the NFL's trade deadline. The Browns did not make a move ahead of the deadline. Berry was as open as he's ever been in addressing the roster and the thinking of those in charge over the last several days. Let's dive into what Berry said, why he thinks the 3-5 Browns aren't dead yet, and some other key questions facing the team over the next several weeks. Why didn't the Browns make a trade? They just didn't find one they could complete. The Browns were active in trade talks, but didn't necessarily view themselves as either buyers or sellers. Berry has shown in his 3 seasons in charge that he's not afraid of a trade, big or small, and that he'll be aggressive if the Browns feel they can find an upgrade. Berry said the Browns came close to acquiring a player, but ultimately decided the asking price was too high. He didn't go into any further detail on the player the Browns targeted or the position of that player. The Twitter sphere had linked the Browns to several conversations with other teams about 2 of their own players, running back Kareem Hunt and cornerback Greedy Williams, but both will remain with the Browns for the final year of their current contracts. Hunt asked the Browns to trade him last summer, and after the Browns win Monday night he said he was down for whatever if the Browns did trade him. But the Browns are clearly a better and more dangerous team with Hunt involved than they would be without him, and with the Monday night win that snapped a 4-game losing streak, the Browns kept themselves within shouting distance of playoff contention. In the AFC North, they're 2 games behind the 5-3 Ravens. I would say that candidly, Monday night's win probably maybe had a little bit of a mild influence in our thinking, Berry said. I wouldn't say that it moved the needle significantly in one direction or another. I had probably a pretty good idea in terms of how we wanted to approach the deadline, obviously with a couple of different opportunities, but to suggest it didn't have some type of mild impact I think would be disingenuous. Go deeper. First thoughts. Browns revived their season with all-phase rout of Bengals. Hunt's situation is unique and complicated on several levels. The Browns don't like to share any football business in the public realm, but Hunt took his request for a new contract public last summer on 2 different occasions, then sat out of 2 training camp practices in an ill-timed attempt to force the Browns' hand. This Browns regime gave Hunt a new contract prior to the 2020 season, and though Hunt has been clear that he wants to finish his career with his hometown team, he'll never be the #1 running back on the depth chart or the payroll as long as the Browns employ Nick Chubb. The Browns were never going to just give Hunt away, and even if the sides are as far apart as Hunt's words and past actions indicate they are, it's possible that the sides could still work out some sort of agreement at some point in the offseason. Much changes for the Browns with the December debut of quarterback Deshaun Watson, and Hunt's ability to catch passes out of the backfield and finish runs with authority make him a near-perfect complement to Chubb and an asset in the more open offense the Browns will look to run as Watson gets comfortable. It will come down to money first and fit second, as it always does. The Browns couldn't get what they felt was proper value for Hunt last summer or in recent weeks, and we'll see how the Browns and other teams value Hunt in the offseason. The Browns drafted running back Jerome Ford in the 5th round last spring, and Ford is set to return from injured reserve after the bye week. We feel really good about the team we have and feel really good about the guys in the locker room, Berry said. To Kareem specifically, I would actually give Kareem a lot of credit because I think for an individual going through what he went through the past couple of months, realizing that his status was in some level of flux, all Kareem has done since August is work hard and really put the team first. I think that type of mindset and that type of attitude is exactly what allows you to battle through difficult challenges and difficult circumstances and ultimately is what you need to win games as you go from week to week in the second half of the year. We always have open dialogue with our guys, so none of that necessarily happens in a vacuum. Just to be clear, Kareem has been excellent every day that he has been in the building since August. I think you all know how passionate he is, how much he cares about this team and how much he cares about this city. We know he is going to have a really strong second half and we are looking forward to him helping us continue to win games, like he did on Monday night. Where could the Browns have made an addition? Though it makes sense that the Browns pursued help either on the defensive line or at linebacker, it's possible that the pursuit Berry mentioned could have been at wide receiver. There was movement around the league at both wide receiver and running back, and given the overall state of their wide receiver position, the Browns could have been looking to make an addition. Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones have taken almost all of the targets at the wide receiver position, with rookie David Bell emerging as the Browns' clear-cut No. 3 wide receiver and fellow rookie Michael Woods too seeing a few opportunities in recent weeks. 10 trades were made ahead of the deadline, and there have been 19 trades made league-wide since the start of the season. The Browns made one in early October when they acquired linebacker Deion Jones from the Falcons for a late-round 2024 pick swap. Jones is now the Browns' starting middle linebacker, and the defense has been much better in Jones' 2 games than it was in the 3 games prior to Jones' debut. The Browns remain thin at linebacker with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who rarely leaves the field when healthy, having missed the Bengals game with a knee injury. Jacob Phillips, who started at middle linebacker after Anthony Walker's season-ending injury, is also out for the season with a bicep injury he suffered in Week 7. The Browns are also thin at defensive tackle, and rookie Perrion Winfrey was a healthy scratch in the win over the Bengals. The Browns were gashed by opposing run games during their 4-game losing streak. I think what we saw on Monday night is certainly a defense that was really strong at the line of scrimmage, Barry said. I was really pleased with how our front 7 really won the line of scrimmage pretty consistently on Monday night. Then I thought our back end, they really covered their tails off against a really good skill group against Cincinnati. Look, I mention this pretty much every year that every year is unique. Sometimes, whether it is through personnel, injury or just guys kind of growing and evolving in their career, things can look maybe a little bit different than you think coming into training camp. I think certainly through the back half of this month, our defensive staff has done a nice job of continually leaning into things that we have done well in the early part of the season. I think that will continue to progress as we get into this half. I think that it is no secret that our scheme and our defensive philosophy and how this system is designed is more predicated on speed than size, and largely because of what we will ask the defensive line or the second level to do in coverage or how we really kind of move the front. I think, quite honestly, there are just different philosophies in terms of how you can defend. There are some teams that prioritize size and more of like a 2-gapping model. But I think it is probably less about how you do it and more do you do it well and do you do the details well. I think that is really what has probably changed a little bit over the last couple of weeks on that side of the ball. I just think we have been a little bit more fine-tuned and consistent in those areas. Pro Bowl cornerback Denzel Ward has missed the last 3 games due to a concussion. The Browns like what they've seen out of rookie Martin Emerson, who started with Ward out, and they still have backup cornerbacks with experience in Williams and AJ. Barry was asked if the team is concerned that Ward might have lingering effects from that concussion, and his answer didn't provide any real clarity. We are listening to the medical experts there, Barry said. Denzel is doing everything that he can to get back on the field. I think everybody realizes here that concussions can be tricky, and then just the reality is because you are dealing with your brain, we want to make sure that guys are healthy before they get back onto the field. Other personnel notes and potential changes. The Browns expect Pro Bowl guard Wyatt Teller, calf, and tight end David Njoku, high ankle sprain, back at some point in November, and possibly even for the team's next game, November 13th in Miami. Jadeveon Clowney, ankle, has been limited both during the practice week and in the last 2 games, and the Browns hope the extra rest can help Clowney. It's unclear if the Browns think Owusu-Koramoah's knee injury will cause him to miss any more time. Watson can return to practice in 2 weeks, and Barry confirmed the obvious that Watson will become the starting quarterback as soon as he's eligible in Week 13. I think honestly, even independent of Deshaun, the second half of the year in every season is important, Barry said. You want to be playing your best football in November, December and January. I think that oftentimes, the best teams, they find out who they are and lean into those strengths. That is really our goal as we enter the second half of the year and hopefully try to play our best football leading into late into the season. I think you find every year that there are things you can do better. That is another reason that the bye week and kind of our continual self-scout are important, whether that is schematically or personnel-wise. That is where the heavy lifting will be done by our personnel staff, our research staff and our coaching staff during the bye week, so if we need to make more significant or even just minor modifications in that regard, we can play the best version of the team that we have. Go deeper. Deshaun Watson to start versus Texans, Browns GM says. Barry cited a lack of consistency as one of the primary reasons the Browns had what he called a rough October and find themselves chasing when they resume play. But Barry said the Browns' defense has improved its communication and tackling, and those areas led to strong defensive performances over the last 2 weeks. The Browns always thought their defense would be disruptive enough to force opponents into big mistakes and create more opportunities for the Browns' run game, and now that they've seen that happen, Barry believes the Browns can continue to stack wins over the remaining 9 games. Fortunately, as we look at last Monday night and going into this bye, I think it provided a picture of the team that we can be, Barry said. We were by no means perfect, but we played our most complete game of the season. We are hopeful that that will be a nice springboard going into the second half of the year.